Alright, welcome back. We have one of the biggest matches of the weekend right here. We have Grape Tea versus hz404. I believe Seed 2 versus Seed 3 right here. And for the warm-up, we just immediately have a JOKE3 Grand Finals map. I mean, what else? And yeah, they're both just absolutely destroying it. I'm pretty sure they're both still on the double S, the V1 double S. Oh no, the last node miss from HZ. Kinda comparable ratios, so that's interesting. Oh, I think HZ had a miss in the middle of the map, but I missed. And I think the second warm-up is gonna be a convert. Alright, and we're almost at the end of our second warm-up, which goes to HZ this time. So it's time for the rolls. Let's see if they have been practicing their rolls. JOKE3 with a respectable 55. Oh, HC not been practicing. Rolls a 4. So I feel like both of these players have pretty much the exact same skill set. So I'm not too sure what they would go for in terms of bans, though HZ goes for the hybrid 2 ban, which is the fastest hybrid and one of the faster maps in general. But it's not speed, so I guess it's the LN aspect of it. And JOKE3 banning SV, surprisingly. Despite kinda destroying that slot in the past few weeks. But so has HZ, so I guess it's fair. And the first pick will be Rise to Anoku Mene by JOKE3, so interesting. This map focusing mostly on consistency, but having some very frequent bursts in 2 sections. And since this is just Rise, I think we can expect a little bit of an ag battle here. Especially since the rhythms aren't too complicated. Especially near the start. And yeah, they're still tied 100 notes in. They might be tied for a while, actually. Still on the V2 double S, about halfway through, but here's the part where things will change, maybe. Yeah, there's the first 300 from HZ and JOKE3 as well. but only 1 for Grape Tea, I think, so it rounds right back up to 100. But he does hit another one. And I think HZ might be behind by like 3 300s now. And they probably won't hit any more until the next time that section happens. And there it is. I think HZ hit like 1 more. Yeah, we're dealing with a matter of 300s here. Like, what would be a normal 200 is to these players what a 300 is. And there it is, a 999k versus a 999k. And yeah, both single-digit 300s. Obviously V1 double S, but Grape Tea very close to the V2 double S actually. And winning his first pick, I don't even know if I would say convincingly, but I mean technically, yeah. He had 1/3 of HZ's 300 count. But HZ going straight for the Hybrid 3, despite banning Hybrid 2. So that's interesting. The good news is that I don't think we'll see any 999Ks on this. I'm just hoping that they're not that strong. Mainly because it does have long notes and it is way more complicated than the rice map we just saw. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think Grape Tea might have just hit a 200? Their AC is surprisingly low. Ooh, Grape Tea in general hitting kinda early, I feel like. Meanwhile, HZ controlling it very nice. Ooh, Grape Tea with a miss. That's very devastating in a match like this. And you can really tell that HZ practiced this one. I mean, he's just nailing every release, every different snap change. And coming up right here is probably the most difficult part of the map, I would say. Or what was it here? I feel like it might be right after. Oh, HC actually hitting a 200, but Grape Tea with another miss, so that's pretty rough. Okay, so they have passed the hard part. So there really is nothing that can make HZ lose this at this point. And they are human, so they did not V1 double S this. Grape Tea actually getting less 200s than HZ, but HZ's ratio is just too insane. And Rice won. Okay, I have a prediction for Rice 1. I think it will again be a single-digit 300s for both of them, but it might actually be more insane than what happened on Rice 2. This is, I think, the easiest map by far in the Rice pool, if not the entire pool. So I feel like a 1 mil is possible for these players. But it has not happened yet in this tournament. I think the closest we got was 1 300. And I mean, we got 3 300s before. So it all depends. Okay, no intro 300s, so they are in the groove. They are officially locked in. Now it's just whoever blinks first. Ooh, okay, HC with a 300. That's, and another one. That's actually, every single one of those is actually just so devastating. And you can tell by the unstable rate that they are absolutely not struggling on this. Okay, nobody dropping a 300 on release, but HZ with like 3 more 300s. I think it would take a significant mistake from Grape T for HZ to take this. Because I think if Grape T drops Ack, it will be through a miss. So there would have to be some kind of misread. Okay, coming up on the outro here, I think Grape T is still on the V2 SS, but the hardest part is still coming up. There will be longer streams and 2 consecutive 1-6 inside a stream. Let's see if he can get that. Oh no, he hit a 300 on just... Oh no, wait, and he misses as well! And that will be a break point for HZ. Just not missing there. And I was wrong, they had worse ratios than on Rise 2, but yeah. If it wasn't for that miss, Grape Tea definitely would have won that. HC going for LN too, and I think now there's a theme emerging. HC going for the more LN based picks, while Grape Tea trying out the Rice picks a little more. But the only flaw maybe in that strategy is that eventually Grape Tea will run out of Rice picks as this is first to 6. And there are more LN and hybrid maps. Although he could start shifting to speed as well, even though that isn't exactly exempt from LN, but it's the next best thing probably. But that being said, JOKE3 is not bad at LN. I think he seeded higher on the LN map than HZ actually in the qualifiers. And I think they are tied right now. Somehow. Okay, the really short LNs kinda making them drop a few 300s. And at the first break, there is a 100-point difference. Probably the closest map so far. And that is not counting the Rise 2 incident. No, I think this is actually closer than Rise 2 right now. It seems to be only 2 or 3 300s apart right now, as it is just constantly flickering and they are nailing all the doublets. Literally any 300 right now can shift it. And I think JOKE3, unless he messes up the release, doesn't, and he breaks the point right back by, 10 300s, never mind. Both above 997 on a semifinals LN map. Oh, okay, here's another more Rise heavy map. This is going to be Stream. This map is super dense, but I don't think that will matter to these players. But I do feel like it makes messing up on some of these patterns a lot more plausible to happen. HZ with like 10 300s on the first few patterns. So that's going to immediately give JOKE3 the lead, as he did not, in fact, hit a 300 and is still on the V2SS. And here are the big streams. Very easy to lose focus and just occasionally drop like a string of 300s, but none of them do. This intro section is still 192 BPM, but after this stream there is a BPM change and they both absolutely nail it. It is now at 186 BPM. And this is looking like another very special performance from JOKE3. Not to dismiss the 99.97 from hz, but there is a 100.00 from JOKE3 happening right now. Still, after that 3-8, and then he misses on. I mean, he. it's like a miss whenever he hits a 300. But yeah, he hits a 300 on basically nothing. And then on an actual tricky snap, so that's gonna make it a little closer. But I think he's still ahead by like 20 300s. I think he's on like 3 now. Probably a little more, since this is a pretty long map and he's on 99.99. But yeah, both of them V1 double S-ing still. Absolutely no problem. And yeah, JOKE3 with 8 300s. Oh, hz actually with 1 200. Well, at least they are not 1 milling. But there's only one rice map left, and it's kinda tricky, even though I have seen some pretty nutty scores on it. But hz, on the other hand, does have a few maps to choose from, even though he did just lose on LN2 by a very small amount. But going for LN1, which is a very similar type of map, slower BPM, but denser in terms of bursts. A lot of 1/8, so you could almost call this like a speed LM. And the LN releases in this map are actually nothing to be scoffed at either, as they do vary quite a bit. Alright, with the easy intro out the way, we now have a lot more bursts, and hz hitting at 200. It's gonna bring things a lot closer, but I think JOKE3 might have hit one too, or maybe his ratio is just worse. I was not paying attention. But either way, they both have the same ACK right now, so I'm inclined to believe that they both hit 1 200. Okay, no one messing up that hold, which I believe might have been offhand, even though I don't know. hz with a very small lead, but he has to be careful because it is very easy to just hit 200s on any of these like cheeky doublets that just appear every now and then. Okay, a little bit of a chill section here. Deceptively tricky releases there that just alternated a bit. Nobody dropping a single 200 on those 112 doublets, I think, or 116 doublets. Either way, they are fast. HZ still with a 0.02% lead, which in the scheme of this match is quite a bit. Oh, but it is getting closer. And he will take it by 455 points. Oh yeah, much better ratio. Well, I'm lying. That is 13 300s better. That is almost nothing. And yeah, they both hit a single 200. And the last rice. Rice 3 picked by Grape Tea. Run to you. This is 170 BPM and probably the hardest rice in this round. So the scores might not be as high on this one comparatively compared to the other scores we've seen on Rice so far. Oh, and it is tied, as I think both players finding 300s on the very few LMs in this map. But here's the main bursty part, and actually they are actually just cruising through it. Not having any trouble hacking the 1/8 into 1/6, and 1/6 into 1/8. And that is actually the hardest part of the map done, and they are tied. They now basically have to somehow try to edge out a lead over the other person on a slightly easier map than what was the first half. But Grape Tea hitting a fairly random 300, giving the lead to... oh, and another one, giving the lead to HZ by 2 300s now. This section kinda tricky, with a lot of different length patterns, but it doesn't seem to be tripping any of them up. HZ hitting, I think, 1 300, but Grape Tea not quite able to take it back. So unless they hit 300s on this outro... Wait, what happened? When did Grape Tea get the lead? Oh, okay, so it turns out Grape Tea wins that one by a single 300, because HC did get a few 300s on that outro section before the 1-2s that I didn't notice, and just because it was flickering the whole time, it was actually on Grape Tea's side the entire time. And that is a 55-point difference. 54, I think. And yeah, JOKE3 winning his own pick. Not exactly safely. But he did. He did what had to be done. He got a lower 300 count than HC, and that is all that matters. Very unfortunate though, we could have seen the very first tie in one key history. And going right into Hybrid 1. Oh yeah, I said at the start of Rise 3 that the scores weren't going to be that high on that one. Yeah, I lied pretty hard. Hybrid 1 though, one of the harder to hack maps in this pool, I would say, for how low star rating it is. Kind of an awkward BPM at 139 with a ton of different snaps, and I mean like all of them. And also very variable releases. That JOKE3 is actually in the lead right now by a few 300s again. Alright, coming up on the first pretty fairly dense burst section here. They're both finding 300s, but not much more than that, and JOKE3 is just hanging on by a ratio lead. Lots of snapping changes here, and coming up on one of the most difficult to act parts here. Oh, and JOKE3 does hit a 200. I don't know if HZ did as well, but they're definitely holding a better ratio right now. And the lead is within 1,000 points once again. But this outro section is by far the easiest to hack. So if HZ just holds on, he should be able to take this. And he does, even if he gets a 300 on this release. And that is HZ winning his own pick, with actually worse ratio than JOKE3, but one less 200. And it is 4-4, and JOKE3 has no more race or stream left, so it might be time for speed. And I would be very scared of seeing what these players can do on speed. And there it is, speed 1. For reference, I believe Alice Ham versus Dictopia played speed 1, and Dictopia got a ridiculous score of 1,200 and 991k. And there is a possibility that these players can beat that score, which is just scary to me. HZ with some intro 300s, which is going to hurt his lead early on, making it not his lead anymore, but Grape's. In fact, Grape T is still holding the 100%. But does understandably drop on the consecutive triplets, even though only one. And here is the more stamina intensive section with the longer bursts. But I don't think stamina exists for these players right now, so I'll just disregard that and say it's a slightly longer burst section. Some of the LNs coming in, making Grape T drop a few more 300s, but HZ drops the same amount, if not more. Slightly long stream there that they don't struggle on. This section right here is actually very tricky to hack. A lot of 1/3. And just LNs in general. And Grape T does drop a lot of 300s there actually, allowing HZ to catch up a little bit. It's only 0.03% apart now. HZ does drop a few more 300s here, giving Grape T a little bit more of a secure lead. A lot of 300s exchanged here, but overall Grape T comes out on top. Still within 1,000 points, by the way. But definitely one of the more secure leads so far, with 23 300s of difference. And yeah, both players V1 double S-ing, beating Decktopia's score of 1,200. HZ right away going for LN3. And that was a very quick setup, especially considering he just lost the speed. But HZ has lost on LN before, so this is definitely not much of a safe pick, but he does not have much of a choice. Right now, Grape Tea with a small 300 ratio lead. Oh, but I think he just... No, he's still in the lead. It's just flickering, playing tricks on my eyes. Okay, here's the 1/3 section, but... Oh, no, not the 1/3 section yet, but HZ misses, which is going to be very, very devastating, especially with another miss right there. I think that might just seal it. Grape Tea does not look like he's getting tripped up by any of these 1/3, so I think he might just be taking this. But yeah, Grape Tea V1 double S anyway with better ratio, so even if HZ didn't miss and V1 SS, it still wouldn't have been enough. So unfortunate, but the seed difference was there and prevailed in the end. And they are gonna play TB just to see what could have happened. I'm not sure if we'll be streaming that, but they will do that. Okay, it does look like we will be looking at that. Alright, getting into it, we have the TB Chroma Surge. A 6-minute 190 BPM map that is even harder than Ayun from last week. Although I don't think that matters too much to these two. Alright, almost done with this LN intro here. And we can start getting into the real meat of the map. And here it is. Ton of bursts. I found stamina to be a very real issue throughout this map, but I feel like for them it's not gonna matter that much. Although I think HZ finding a couple misreads on those patterns there. Meanwhile, Grape Tea still holding the V1SS. And here is the big stream. I think it's around 500 notes? Maybe 300. I don't know, it's long. HZ actually recovering very well from that first miss. I think they can still 99 if they FC everything else. Never mind. Okay, slightly streamy section here, with the occasional bursts. Grape Tea still holding on. And coming up here is a very LN heavy section though. So it'll be interesting to see if he can hold it through there as well. Not struggling so far. And here some more bursts get introduced, along with the tight releases. Still on the V1SS. Hitting the 7-plit. Full LN section here. This one's very tricky to read if you're not ready for it, and he drops the 200, his very first. And the outro section. This one does not let up though. There are still plenty of bursts to go around. Especially right there, the 2 consecutive ones. Also a bunch of doublets being added here. But none of it matters to Grape Tea, who will close it out with a single 200. And an FC on the semifinals tiebreaker. What a mad lad. That score is absolutely nuts. HC with a respectable 98% side read though. Very nice. But that will wrap it up for this match. That was Grape Tea versus HZ. HZ now unfortunately knocked down to the losers bracket, but he is not out of the tournament. He still can claw his way back. and he will be facing the winner of XK versus Forest Master, which I think we'll find out sometime soon. But anyway, that will leave Grape Tea in the winner's bracket finals. And we have one more match this week, which will be Punish versus Brazil. And that is in a while, so you can rest until then from what you just saw. But yeah, until then, goodbye.